Welcome back to the 24/7 Sports channel. And if you have been following along here, you know it is commitment season. Commitments have continued to accelerate up until this point. It had been a slow start to the cycle, but now things are about to get extremely busy. And we have another big one for you here today as Jalen Montonati, a four-star recruit in the class of 2026 and the number one overall player in the state of Oklahoma, will be joining us to make his college decision. Jalen is one that emerged very early on in his high school career, separating himself amongst his peers, particularly with his shot making and his size. He has a prototypical size for a wing who can drill shots from three, but he has a lot more than that to his game. If you go back and watch what he did at the prestigious City of Palms event back last December, he was one of the top players overall in the event, where he averaged roughly 25 points a game and nearly shot 50% from three on high volume. So whoever lands Montonati at the end of the day is getting a sizey shooter with upside as he continues to fill out his frame. Not to mention, he has a high IQ and feel for the game overall. Throughout this recruiting process, showcasing his talents, he has earned offers from all over the country, including USC, Arkansas, Michigan, Texas A&M, and several others. But he has no official final list. So without further ado, let's bring in the man of the hour, Jalen Montonati. Jalen, welcome to the show, man. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. I appreciate you for having me on today.
Absolutely. I know you're anxious to get started here, but before we do, who are those special people up there with you today?
Yeah, so I got my stepmom, I got my pops, I got my little brother, I got my mom, and then I got my older sister with me today.
It is an awesome supporting cast that you've had throughout your career. But looking back on this journey, what are the thoughts and feelings going through you right now as you're finally at the finish line?
It's been, a wild journey, especially going through this whole recruiting process ever since really before I stepped foot on a high school court before my freshman year. So I'm anxious. I'm ready to get it out. I'm just really excited right now.
Now, before we get to the announcement, describe your game for the fans out there that aren't as familiar with you. What has separated you amongst your peers in your own eyes?
I would just, say my ability to stretch the floor, especially how tall I am and, the length that I bring. Have a high release on my shot, able to shoot it and stretch the floor and, make my team better in any way possible and just bring those winning keys to any team that I play for.
You have had a bunch of team involved in your recruitment, pursuing you over the years. How difficult was it for you not necessarily cutting your list, but just ultimately coming down to the final school you're about to reveal?
Yeah, it was really difficult. But it made it easier, with my supporting cast sitting next to me, just talking through it with them and, going over certain things and seeing how I would fit into certain programs. And, kind of toward the end of this, it's gotten a lot easier to see, which schools that I could possibly fit into and see myself making an impact with.
All right, Jalen, I know you're anxious to make this announcement, but you didn't get to this place in your journey all by yourself. So I want to give you the time here to just thank all the people that have helped you along the way and share a message with them.
Yeah, first off, I give all thanks and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be sitting up here today and be the man that I am today. And then my mom and my dad sitting up here today, just providing me in my life and, just waking up early with me, staying in the gym late with me, just giving me support on and off the court, through the good times, through the hard times, just providing me with lessons on and off the court. To my 6 seniors here at Owasso, I appreciate y'all more than you guys know. They're behind the camera right now. So without them, I wouldn't be the player that I am today. Just them constantly pushing me to, be a better leader and a better teammate and a better player on the floor. So give thanks to them. And then everybody standing in this room here with me today, to my administrators, to all my teachers, to the city of Owasso, who's kind of supported me and had my back throughout my entire career. I give, thanks to all of them.
All right, Jalen, it's time. You can only be one. Who will you be committing to?
Yeah, so this next chapter of my life, I've decided that I'm going to be committed to Oklahoma State University. Go
Congratulations, Jalen. Why Oklahoma State?
Man, I just feel, so loved by the whole coaching staff, the whole fan base, really. They've known me ever since, I was about this, how tall this dude is. So, just the support that they've shown me throughout since Coach Letts has got the job. He contacted me, the day after he got it. And, I've been building a relationship with him ever since. And with the whole coaching staff, it's just really welcoming and, really cool to see that they made me their priority in this class, especially in, today's day and age where a lot of coaches are just so focused on the portal and older guys. It was really cool to see that they were focused on a high school kid such as myself. So it just feels like home, and, I'm ready to get Oklahoma State back to its glory days.
Speaking of their glory days, Steve Letts is obviously in the midst of rebuilding this program, and now with you on board, that is a big addition to help him do that. As you got to know him and talk to him, what was it about him and his message to you that kind of got you just fully on board, wanting to help him in this process?
Yeah, like I said earlier, the day after he got the job, he called me and talked to me, and stated how important I was to, play for OSU, put that jersey across my chest. So just building a relationship with him. He knows the type of player that I am right now and the type of player that I can become, and, how I can impact winning from day one, and, just bring a winner's mentality to the program and help him turn the culture back around in Stillwater.
I know Oklahoma State fans are already very well aware of who you are, being the top player in the state, but they're still very excited. Tell them what you're going to be bringing to this program.
I'm just going to be bringing a winner's mindset from the day I step on campus. I've always grown up thinking Oklahoma State's a basketball school, and I'm ready to get Oklahoma State, back into the NCAA tournament every single year that I'm there, and, help Coach Letts, the rest of the team rebuild it back up to one of the top programs in the Big 12 and nationally.
Well, Jalen, congratulations again, and thank you for sharing this moment here with us. We look forward to seeing you out on the road this year. I know we'll be crossing paths, so good luck to you this high school season, and more importantly, good luck to you in your future at Oklahoma State.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for having me on.
Well, there you have it. Jalen Montonati is off the board and headed to Oklahoma State. So for more on this commitment, let's bring in our Director of Scouting, Adam Finkelstein. Adam, welcome. What's your immediate reaction to this?
Oklahoma State. I mean, Jalen said it. He had been the top priority since Steve Letts got to town, even before that. I mean, I think he had an offer when he was a freshman, and for good reason. He's not only the top prospect in the state of Oklahoma, but he's a legacy. His dad played at Oklahoma State. So this was really important, not just for the impact he can make on the floor, and we'll get into that, but I think just locally for Steve Letts now, he's been there for a couple of years, to say, hey, I'm keeping the best players at home. I'm keeping the building on the foundation of a past tradition here. So this was a big recruit, again, not just because of what he brings on the floor, but because of the history and the proximity to the program.
Yeah, just from a holistic roster construction standpoint, just how important is it in today's era to keep these kids at home?
Yeah, I think it can be very important. And when you talk about roster construction, it also has to fit style of play, right? You have to be conscious of the branding implications of being able to keep the top player in the state at home and also a legacy. You know, if this kid goes cross town or cross state, people are saying, hey, his dad played here. How could you let this happen? But that's not the case. They're keeping him home. Now, he also has to fit the style of play, right? Because when it comes to roster construction, you have to make sure all the pieces fit. And Steve Letts is bringing a very distinctive style with him to Stillwater. In fact, they were 12th overall in the country last year in tempo. So they are trying to play fast. This is a team that wants to shoot threes in transition. Now, if you look at their numbers last year, they weren't a great shooting team. So Jalen is someone that can come in and help that. I think the other thing that's a sneaky good part about this fit is Lutz's defensive system switches less than a lot of defenses in this era of college basketball. Jalen was very specific that he wanted to be recruited as a wing and not as a stretch forward. And because he's going to be in a defensive system that does not switch, he's going to have the benefit of being able to, Coach Lutz and the coaching staff being able to identify just the right matchups and then staying on him throughout the course of the game and not being switched into different cross matches and mismatches where he could be potentially exposed. So I think there's a lot of things to like about the fit. And even from an opportunity standpoint, they're going to be losing some things in the wing. Jalen will join a budding, growing young nucleus, but have a chance to play and potentially play significant minutes right away next year as a freshman.
Well, thank you so much. Great insight as always. Thanks for joining the show, and I know we'll be seeing you very, very soon. So Jalen Montonati, the number 74 overall recruit, is off the board and headed to Oklahoma State. For more on what is happening out on the recruiting trail, head over to 24/7 Sports and subscribe. You can use the promo code COMMIT65 for 65% off your annual VIP memberships. And I can't leave here without saying, be sure to subscribe to this channel as we have many more commitments coming to you with a very, very busy month ahead of us.